This is Gobo Station on the JR Kisei line. It is a stop for limited express trains that run directly from the direction of Osaka, and it has a high number of passengers among nearby stations. The Kishu Railway, which I will introduce this time, uses Platform 0 of this station. This time, I will cover the Kishu Railway, which starts from this Gobo Station. Kishu is the ancient name of a region that includes Wakayama Prefecture and other areas. The line runs 2.7 kilometers, 1.68 miles from Gobo Station to Nishi Gobo Station. The current Kisei line opened as far as Gobo Station in 1929. Because Gobo Station was far from the city center, local volunteers applied for a railway construction license to the Minister of Railways in November 1927, prior to the opening. A railway construction license was granted in March 1928, and Gobo Rinko Railway was established in December. Although preparations were made to be in time for the opening of Gobo Station, land acquisition was difficult, and it was June 1931 when the section from Gobo Station to the current Gobo Station opened. The extension work was affected by financial difficulties due to the Great Depression and delays in land acquisition, and it was August 1934 when the line reached Hidakagawa Station. During its peak, the line was not only longer than it is now, but there were also more intermediate stations, and beyond Nishi-Gobo Station, there was a dedicated line for a spinning company. Because the National Railway Station was far from the city center, a private railway opened from there to the city center, a common pattern seen in regional cities in Japan. The company was in the red every year from the start. Although it recorded its first net profit in the first half of 1935, the main factor was that its debts were shelved due to the failure of its main bank. During World War II, passenger numbers increased because the spinning company's factory was converted into a munitions factory. But the railway was not necessarily successful as repairs were difficult due to a lack of materials, and vehicles were damaged in air raids in June 1945. During this period, multiple intermediate stations disappeared. In July 1953, the Great Kishu Flood occurred, and the Hidaka River flooded, submerging the entire line, and it took 2 months to restore service. The number of passengers reached 1 million around 1960, but began to decline around 1965, and freight also decreased. In 1970, there were labor union strikes for pay raises and wage increases, which were fatal for a company without buses or other businesses. Compared to its peak, the number of passengers has dropped to less than 10%. Transport density refers to the number of passengers transported per kilometer per day. In the past, when the deficit-ridden national railways converted loss-making lines to bus services, they used a density of fewer than 4,000 people as an indicator. Even at its peak, the transport density was below that figure, but the history of Kishu Railway continues from there. In 1973, Bandai Dentetsu Fudosan, a real estate company in Tokyo, acquired the company. It was at this time that the company name was changed from Gobo Rinko Railway to Kishu Railway. Bandai Dentetsu Fudosan was a company established by the former management of Bandai Kyuko Electric Railway, a small private railway in Fukushima Prefecture. The route was originally laid in the 1910s to transport sulfur ore mined from the Numajiri mine along the line. After the war, in the 1950s, Numajiri sulfur lost its price competitiveness, and the railway's management deteriorated. It was decided to convert it into a sightseeing railway to Urabandai, which was also a tourist destination, and the company merged with a subsidiary in charge of tourism and changed its name. Although called an electric railway, it remained non-electrified and of inferior standards until the end. The change of the company name to Bandai Kyuko Electric Railway was done by those who seized control of the management in the late 1960s. It is said that they advocated a plan to widen the rail gauge to match the electrification of the connecting Banetsu West Line, electrify with alternating current for direct service, and further promote tourism development. On the other hand, the funds were reportedly to be covered by loans, and given the severe management situation at that time, there was zero prospect of realization. Due to the company's bankruptcy, the line was abolished in March 1969. Although the company was listed at that time, it was like a money game, with stock prices fluctuating abnormally in 1968 due to the intervention of speculators. After the bankruptcy of Bandai Kyuko Electric Railway, the former management established Bandai Dentetsu Fudosan. They acquired Gobo Rinko Railway, renamed it Kishu Railway, and Bandai Dentetsu Fudosan became its real estate division. Kishu Railway was acquired in 1979 by another group that operates resort hotels, and the management at that time was swept away. The reason the real estate company acquired the railway company was that they wanted to add prestige to their real estate business. Because the railway business requires a huge amount of capital, there was a belief in Japan at that time that a real estate company operated by a railway company was more trustworthy than a company that was not. However, the railway business of Kishu Railway was small in scale, and deficit-ridden management became the norm. On the website, the railway business is listed first, but the reality of the railway business is an advertising tower, and the main businesses are resort and real estate development. The company itself is headquartered in Tokyo, with only a branch office in Gobo as a base for the railway business. Other group companies are based only at the Tokyo headquarters, and there are no bases in Gobo. Because the railway business itself is in the red, the line standards are not high, and the vehicles are all those handed down from other companies. The KiHa 600 series is particularly famous. This vehicle was manufactured in 1960 at what was then Niigata Engineering. It was a vehicle operated on the Oita-Kotsu Yamake line and was acquired in 1975 when that line was abolished. Although the body is 18 meters, 59 feet, the side windows are so-called bus windows, consisting of two vertical panes, and there is a reinforcement belt below them. The cross-section of the body is also small, giving it specifications similar to old National Railway cars. Because of the old design, the master controller is operated with the right hand and the brake with the left hand, which is the opposite arrangement of modern diesel cars. Additionally, to prevent wheel slip, the center of the bogie with the driving axle is shifted toward the driving axle side. This is called an eccentric bogie and is quite rare. The fact that the diesel engine exhaust is located under the floor instead of on the roof is also a point that makes one feel the oldness of the design. Regular operation ended in 2009 with the introduction of successor vehicles, and it was subsequently stored on a side track at Gobo Station. Although there was talk of scrapping it, a local shopping district promotion association acquired it, and it was moved to a vacant lot near Gobo Station in November 2017. Currently, a design office is inside, and it seems impossible to enter the car. Maintenance seems to be done well, and even now, 16 years after its retirement, the condition is surprisingly good. This is the Kitetsu 1 series, which was introduced in 1985. It was manufactured by what was then Fuji Heavy Industries in 1985 and was a vehicle operated on the Hojo Railway in Hyogo Prefecture. During the Hojo Railway era, its model name was the Fuwa 1985 series. It became surplus due to the introduction of large vehicles, and Kishu Railway acquired Unit 1 and Unit 2 in 2000 and 2009. While the KiHa 600 series inherited the vehicle numbers from the Oita Kotsu era as they were, both the model name and vehicle numbers were changed for this one. It is a low-cost vehicle called a railbus, developed based on a bus body, and its total length is 12.5 meters, 41 feet, which is smaller than the KiHa 600 series. Since the number of Kishu Railway users had decreased considerably at that time, it seems this was considered acceptable. The KR301 was introduced in 2016. It was originally the SKR300 series of Shigaraki Kogen Railway, and SKR likely stands for Shigaraki Kogen Railway. By this time, the Kitetsu 1 was aging and had been out of service without undergoing expensive inspections, so it was transferred free of charge as a replacement vehicle. The vehicle number was changed from SKR301 to KR301, and KR likely stands for Kishu Railway. The Shigaraki-ware raccoon dog depicted on the body was changed to an illustration of a character provided by the Gobo City Tourism Association, but the green line paint on the white background remained as it was. In the general inspection in October 2019, it was repainted to the current paint scheme similar to the KiHa 603. This is the interior of the car. It is mostly cross-seating, and the seats are quite soft. Basically, one-man operation is performed, and fares are paid upon exit. Behind the driver's seat, the fares between major stations for both inbound and outbound directions are listed. With the introduction of the KR301, the Kitetsu 1 was transferred free of charge to the Aridagawa Town Railway Park in 2017. Furthermore, in 2017, the KR205 began operation. This is the SKR200 series of Shigaraki Kogen Railway, which was acquired free of charge following the introduction of successor vehicles. Although it was a vehicle transferred after the SKR300 series, this one was manufactured a bit earlier. The vehicle number was changed from SKR205 to KR205, and since 2021, it has been operating repainted in a two-tone color of red and cream. Because the Kitetsu 1 series was an early railbus, it has only 2 axles per car. Railbuses manufactured later became closer to general railway vehicles, with larger bodies and a style of being equipped with bogies with 2 axles at the front and rear. The Kitetsu 2, which was the last 2-axle railbus in Japan to enter commercial operation, rarely ran once the KR301 began operation in 2016, and its last run took place in 2017 with the start of KR205 operations. However, it is still registered and remains stationary in a corner of Gobo Station. While the replacement of vehicles continued, the section from Gobo Station to Hidakagawa Station was abolished in 1989. Hidakagawa Station had 1 platform and 1 track, and there were 2 side tracks. It is said that before the war, there was an engine depot, and it functioned as the heart of the railway line. This is also the station where vehicles were damaged in the 1945 air raid. Houses are built directly on top of the platform. Because a common method is to build on the site after the platform is demolished, this is quite rare. Between Gobo Station and Hidakagawa Station, a considerable amount of track remains. This is said to be due to the fact that there was a concept to revive the line even after its abolition. There was also a plan to develop the site of Hidakagawa Station into a square, but it has not been realized. In September 2023, the Kishu Railway and the abolished section of the former Gobo Rinko Railway were certified as JSCE Civil Engineering Heritage. Some parts of the railroad crossing signals are missing, and some areas between stations are covered with grass, making one feel the passage of time since the abolition. Incidentally, old bridge piers remain in the Hidaka River, which is also the name of the station. These are bridge piers for a road bridge. The Kishu Railway line ended at Hidakagawa Station, and there was never a time when the line existed beyond that point. The road bridge was first built in 1876 and was reportedly rebuilt many times thereafter. Because it used to be a wooden bridge instead of a concrete one, different types of bridge piers remain. These bridge piers are often demolished because they pose a risk to flood control, but these are among the few that remain. This is Gobo Station, the base of the line. The station building houses the Kishu Railway Railway Division Office, and since it is a directly managed station, staff are present throughout the day. There are 2 side tracks, which are used for vehicle inspection and storage, respectively. In the past, there was a facility to allow trains to pass each other, and the structure had platforms on both sides of the tracks. The current platform was created by removing the tracks on the station building side and widening the platform. The platform on the opposite side remains, and the station nameplate is also located there. The current station building is the second generation, built in 1978 with approximately 20 million yen in revenue from sales of tickets commemorating the 50th anniversary of its opening, and was completed in 1979. Gobo Station is the only station that sells tickets at a counter. Gobo Station is under the jurisdiction of JR West, and tickets for Kishu Railway cannot be purchased there. In the station building of Gobo Station, there is a sign for the Railway Girl, Kasumi Hidaka. Railway Girl is a character content based on women working for railway companies, and it is expanding to railway companies nationwide. Names are usually taken from station names or local specialties. The surname is from Hidakagawa Station, and the first name is from the baby's breath, Kasumi So, a specialty of Gobo City. Kishu Railway also sells merchandise, just like other railway companies. Currently, there is 1 train per hour during the day, and it increases to 2 in the morning and evening. Operation hours are from the 6 a.m. range to the 8 p.m. range, which is short even considering that it is a local line in a regional area. The Kishu Railway line is single track throughout, and because there are no stations where trains can pass each other, it is operated with only 1 car throughout the day. Regional local lines are often crowded with high school students in the morning and evening, but the recent number of passengers has fallen below 100,000 per year, averaging about 270 people per day at a high estimate. Due to the short distance of the line, quite a few high school students use bicycles. Kishu Railway promotes itself as the shortest local private railway in Japan, with a line length of 2.7 kilometers, 1.68 miles. The Shibayama Railway in Chiba Prefecture is 2.2 kilometers long. In terms of distance, this one is shorter, but that company was established for local residents who suffered inconvenience when their land was divided by the opening of Narita Airport. There are no trains operating only on its own line, and all trains run directly onto the Keisei Higashi Narita line, which connects at Higashi Narita Station. Operations are also entrusted to Keisei Electric Railway, and there are no in-house crew members. Additionally, if funicular railways called cable cars are included, there are even shorter lines, and it varies depending on the perspective. Since the role played by this sign is significant, I will not look too closely into it. A derailment accident occurred in January 2017, and a report was issued by the Japan Transport Safety Board of the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism, stating that the cause was the aging of wooden sleepers and other factors. The replacement with concrete sleepers began, and as of December 2017, 14% of the entire line had concrete sleepers. As measures to prevent recurrence, replacing or adding dog spikes that fix the rails to the sleepers and installing members to maintain the interval between rails were pointed out, and Kishu Railway has generally implemented them. For regional local lines with limited equipment and personnel and difficult management, labor-intensive track maintenance often cannot be thoroughly performed, and companies that cause derailment accidents are seen. There are even lines that have been suspended for a long time because the renovation of facilities for preventing recurrence cannot be managed. On the other hand, at Kishu Railway, the replacement of sleepers continued thereafter, and as of October 2018, 33% of the entire line had concrete sleepers. As of January 2025, approximately 2.3 kilometers of the 2.7 kilometers, 1.43 miles of 1.68 miles, entire line has concrete sleepers, and the renovation is progressing at high speed. What happened to such a Kishu railway was an unexpected crisis of line abolition. However, signs of it had been appearing since 2021. In that year, Kishu Railway became a subsidiary of another company. The circumstances of the acquisition have not been disclosed, but the head is of Chinese descent. In 2024, a policy for abolition was indicated, and consultations were held with Wakayama Prefecture, Gobo City, and the Chamber of Commerce and Industry. In China, fare revenue often cannot cover maintenance costs, and it is common for railway companies to engage in the real estate business. The fact that local governments have a monopoly on land use rights and can grant development rights for land along the lines to railway companies is also a factor in the railway and real estate businesses becoming inseparable. On the other hand, these are cases where railway companies conduct real estate business for the purpose of becoming profitable. In the case of Kishu Railway, conversely, it is a structure where a real estate company holds a railway business as an advertising tower. In changing times, the thinning role of the railway business as an advertising tower is the background to the indication of the abolition policy. There are hurdles that are too high for the survival of the line. The first thing needed is the management efforts of Kishu Railway. Without this, the understanding of local governments cannot be obtained, and discussions such as deficit financing will not progress. Trains have been mostly converted to one-man operation, and the only manned station is Gobo Station, where the base is located. The line is also single-track throughout, and there is little room to reduce maintenance costs by downsizing facilities. The remaining room for management effort is an increase in fares. However, an application to the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism is required to increase fares, and it is necessary to state the reasons for the price increase in detail in the application form, and it is not something that can be easily created. The person who could create the application form retired around 2000, and since then, the company has reached the present day without being able to apply for a fare increase. Although the total length is 2.7 kilometers, 1.7 miles, The reason it is cheap for a regional local line is due to difficult internal circumstances, where there was no human resource capable of handling the procedures necessary for a fare increase. The total number of employees in the railway division of Kishu Railway is 11. Management personnel are also engaged in practical fieldwork and operate trains. If employees are dispatched to other companies to gain know-how, operations cannot be maintained. There are also options to newly hire someone who can create application forms or accept secondments from other companies, but since the parent company has proposed abolition, the expectation for generating funds is low. This makes support from local governments difficult as well. At Kishu Railway, the operating deficit of the railway business has been fluctuating between 30 million and 70 million yen. For several years since fiscal 2016, the repair costs of vehicles due to the derailment accident and the cost of replacing sleepers have had an impact. The management of the company itself is not always smooth. In the past, the deficit of the railway business could not be covered by other businesses, and the net profit became a deficit. In some years, large amounts of extraordinary income or extraordinary loss have been recorded, showing that the reality is not that simple. The KR300 series is also a relatively early railbus and will need replacement in the future. Until now, most vehicles were transferred free of charge, but it is not certain that this can be done in the future. Since November last year, equipment failures have occurred frequently, and some sections have been out of service for a long time, bringing the company to a critical situation as a railway company. Attention will be focused on the future of Kishu Railway, which stands at a crossroads.